This is the Branding Business School Podcast, the go-to business and marketing podcast for ambitious women looking to start and scale profitable businesses. Learn from your host, Victoria Marcoullier, how to build a powerhouse brand in this online era without sacrificing your sanity or misplacing your priorities. We support the dreamers and the disruptors and are showing up weekly to teach you practical advice on what it takes to become the go-to in your industry. Operating an online business as a female entrepreneur looks different these days, and thanks to us, so does business school. Welcome to the Branding Business School Podcast.
Lisa, welcome to the Branding Business School Podcast. Tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much for having me, Victoria. So I'm Lisa Campbell. I'm a nurse practitioner out of Wilmington, Delaware, and I own an aesthetics and wellness practice. I do cosmetic injectables, Botox, filler, biostimulators, the GLP-1s, peptides, hormone replacement coming soon.
If people follow you on Instagram, they already know, like, you are the go-to for what you offer.
Thank you.
Tell us where Unveil is located too, if we have any people
listening.
listening.
Unveil is located in Wilmington, Delaware. We're actually under construction right now, so we're doing a full build out, which is super exciting. We are right in Avenue North, so we're about 30 minutes from Philadelphia. We're about an hour from Baltimore, so we're really central to these big cities. So if any patients want to travel in, we're just right in the suburbs of Wilmington, Delaware.
Lisa, what initially pulled you into this field of medicine? Like, take us back to, because becoming a nurse, maybe that was the starting point, and then how that led you to opening your own med spa.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually hold 2 bachelors, which is kind of weird. But my first bachelor's was basically in playing collegiate volleyball. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I was like, okay, I was pre-physical therapy, and then physical therapy school became a doctorate. So after I graduated, I was like researching accelerated nursing programs. And I went to University of Delaware and completed that within like 15 months. I got a BSN.
Wow.
Yeah. I became a nurse at Christiana Hospital, where I spent probably a decade of my nursing career. And my last year at the hospital, we actually became a COVID unit.
Oh, wow.
When we were a COVID unit, I was like, oh my gosh, there has got to be something better. I have got to get out of here. But not really. Like, I loved taking care of people, but I knew that was engraved in me. And I was like, well, how can I do this, but also make it a little bit more fun? And then, during COVID, I'm sure you experienced this too, but I kind of entered this self-care era. And I was like, whenever I could get a facial, I would do it. When I would get a massage, I would do it. When I could get Botox, I started getting Botox at the age of 27. I'm now 36. And the girl I was going to was a nurse practitioner. And I was like, well, I can do this. So I ended up going back to nurse practitioner school in 2019, finished that within about 2.5, 3 years. And then I was like, eye on the prize. I just knew I wanted to open an aesthetics practice. That was just my dream. I was like, this is why I'm going to school. This is what I'm going to do. I knew I wasn't going to do primary care. I was like, nobody wants me as their primary care doctor. And I just really enjoyed that, like mixing that science and beauty. So
yeah. What kind of nurse were you when you worked at the hospital for a decade before getting your NP degree?
I was ICU step down. So it was a floor where basically if they were getting a little bit better from the ICU, they came to us. But it was a tough floor. I mean, we took 5 patient assignments. It was just a busy, busy floor. And then just doing that shift work, it was just a lot. So, you're waking up at 5 a.m, you're not getting home to your family until 7:30 at night. So, the shift is 7 to 7. And really you just eat, shower, and sleep, and then you go back for more the next day. So it was a tough 10 years there, but it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me so much in your 20s, and just helped me grow up a little bit too.
And then you ended up switching fields of medicine. I heard you say that it's not an industry, which was good because I probably would have used that word. So tell me that misconception too, and why you don't like when medical aesthetics is referred to as an industry.
I guess because an industry is really like that manufacturing of goods, right? And we're specifically, and I think where a lot of aesthetic providers are getting frustrated, I guess, is that we aren't being taken seriously as a field of medicine. But we are really just like dermatology. We're just like plastic surgery. if not more, you have to know your anatomy so much. We're really trying to make this shift from industry to aesthetic medicine. When we approached each other and you rebranded me, I was like, I wanted to say Unveil Medical Aesthetics, you know? So I think the more that you engrave that in yourself, the more that your patients are going to respect you and trust you, and just realize they're not just coming to, I don't even really like the term med spa, to be honest. I just think it really needs to be a field that's taken a little bit more seriously.
My husband is a PA, so I ran this question by him just to make sure I wasn't ignorant to a really common term, but you were the first person I've heard use the phrase soft nursing, and you were using in the context of like, if you are a nurse looking for like soft nursing, medical aesthetics is not for you. Can you explain that?
Yeah. It's so funny. As I'm hiring and I'm growing and evolving, I've had a couple girls in the interview actually say like, I'm like, well, why do you want to be in this field? And they'll say, well, I really like that it's soft nursing. And I'm like, like, I just knew right away, I'm like, they're probably not going to be a good fit for the practice. Soft nursing, I think, came out of this like Gen Z era on TikTok. And it's really referred to, like, I think, you know, the IV nurses, things that you're really not in the nitty gritty of the hospital. So I get that. But I will say I've been to many conferences, and I will never forget this one guy stood up at Dr. Subio's conference, and he was like a cardiothoracic PA. And he said, I was never scared to crack a chest and do CPR, but I am so nervous to inject filler. And that just like stuck with me. I was like, wow, because there's such a need, like you have to know your anatomy, you have to know your safety zones. I mean, there's so much wrong that can happen with injecting filler. So that really stuck with me. And I would say the same. Like, I would say I probably lose more sleep over like thinking about my patients in this practice than sometimes who I was taking care of at the hospital, which sounds kind of crazy. But yeah, it's people's faces you're dealing with. And sometimes, I mean, at least some people in my practice, they're on television. Their faces, they're truly their moneymaker. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of face, you are internationally trained in facial sculpting. So tell me what that looks like and like where you were trained and then how that shapes your approach with your patients.
I think training abroad really like just kind of jet setted the practice. When I came back from that, I noticed a huge shift in how busy I was. I noticed, you know, the more that I put that kind of out there on Instagram and the more that I was like, hey, I went abroad, I went to London and I trained with these 3 providers, I think people really started to respect, trust me as their provider. So I went out to London with my mom actually, which was such a like memorable trip. And we went to, first I went to Zach Alley. So Zach Alley is, if you know who he is, he's like the GOAT at facial sculpting. And then after him, it was like 3 rigorous days. And I went out to the Cotswolds and I trained with Kate Goldie. And so Kate Goldie is like the queen of regenerative medicine. So she's a big Radiesse user. And if you're not familiar with what Radiesse is a biostimulator, stimulates collagen and elastin. So Kate taught me a lot about that. And Radiesse is irreversible. So I wanted to make sure that I was going to somebody who really knew the ins and outs of Radiesse and could really, really help me. So I went to her, and then after her, I went to Benji Dillon, and I could have just sat and had coffee with Benji Dillon for hours. Like, he was the kindest human, just so nice. And so training with the 3 of them, it was very intense. But, you know, I was able to take on the plane ride back. I took, you know, that 8-hour flight, and I was just able to study what I learned. And I came back and I implemented it right away.
So were you already running your own medical aesthetics practice when you went and did that training? Like, what was that point when you went from working for somebody else as a nurse or a nurse practitioner to opening your own business?
Yes. So there's no surprise to people. I have bounced around quite a bit. I actually started in a plastic surgeon's office, where I do feel like most aesthetic providers should start either in plastic surgery or in dermatology. You really have to get that sound foundational knowledge. So I started there, and then it was interesting because I didn't have like the best onboarding. So I felt like I kept going to trainings. I kept investing in trainings. And every time I came back, I kept hitting roadblocks. And I was like, what I was saying wasn't going to be implemented. So I was like, okay, I think I just need to open up my LLC. I think I just need to give this a shot, do my own thing. And that's what I did. So I got an opportunity. I was like probably 10 minutes from where I am now, and same thing. So I was there, and each time I would come back from training with these best providers in the world, and I would come back and be like, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? And I just kept hitting these roadblocks. And I was like, okay, eventually I want my say. Like I want to say in how the practice is run. I want to say in the ethics behind it. I want to say in the safety behind it. So I ended up opening the LLC. When was that? 2023, December. So now we're in 2026. And so I had my own practice when I was training in London. And I've had my own practice for 3 years, but I still continually invest in training. I think that's so important.
I think your story is going to resonate with a lot of people as to why they go out on their own, because they have a skill set, they're using it for somebody else, but at some point their potential is going to be capped or limited, right? Or I love that you even touched on like the ethics behind it, because that can be a big tension point for women, is if we don't maybe agree with the ethics behind how something is being done. And that's where we're pouring all of our time and talent, right? Like that can be really frustrating. And so, I can see why that spurred you on to go and open your own practice. Is there anything, knowing what you know now, having been in practice for 3 years, is there anything you wish you would have known before you made that transition?
Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh. I joke around. I'm like, oh my God, I would work for somebody else in a heartbeat. And
we all do.
I'm like, when the going gets tough, I'm like, oh my God. I wish I would have known about overhead. I wish I would have known, because I now empathize with those people who were running their own businesses, and I'm like, oh, this is what they meant. I just wish I would have known, you do have to invest in social media. Like that is where people go to now. People go to Instagram and not Google anymore. Yes, your website is very, very important, but people go to Instagram. So outsourcing for social media, I had to outsource for accounting and bookkeeping. I know how to be a nurse practitioner. I know how to be a good provider, but I had no business courses in college. Mm-hmm. So we learn as we go. But I guess you have to make mistakes and you have to fail, and then you have to come back from it. So I guess that's one of the things, is learning how much really goes into it, and you're never fully off. You're just on all the time. And then when you get home and you have kids, I don't yet, but mm-hmm. when I'm just having dinner with my boyfriend, it's like, okay, stop talking about business and just talk about you two, or figure out something that can bring you back to the two of you.
Yeah. And even to touch on your point about social media, it is an incredibly important piece of the puzzle, because nowadays, especially if you're working with a younger consumer, so if you're targeting, Gen Z, the younger side of millennials, which that's mostly who's making up, Botox, injectables, facial sculpting that we're talking about here, it is their first inclination once they hear about you to go vet you on social media, right? The website is that final piece of the puzzle where they actually go to book you. But if the social media is not dialed in, and nowadays, that's where we're seeing estheticians in particular sharing all of their before and afters, which is becoming so important, because not everyone has good ethics, because not everyone does good work. We do see a lot of botched jobs when it comes to fillers and, facial sculpting. And so I think being able to show your work on a platform where people are going to vet your work is really important. So I just wanted to touch on that. A good website does not negate the need for social media. So you talked about, the parts of ownership that have felt a little bit foreign to you, things that you maybe weren't as prepared for. What parts have felt really natural for you? Anything?
I think just the day to day. I am just a person who thrives on being busy. I'm like you. I wake up at 5, 6 in the morning sometimes to work out. Day to day just feels really natural. Just seeing my patients and just being my true authentic self, I think they really appreciate that. They know that, I'm not there really to sell. Like this is medicine. So I carry a class of medications and I assess, diagnose, treat, just like I would as a nurse practitioner in the hospital, assess, diagnose, treat, and come up with a plan. And that's what I do for every new consultation that comes in. So I think I do that. The consultation is really important. And I think I do that well. Since I have been solo, I worked in jobs where everything was really transactional. This is not so transactional. It's like I said, it's medicine. So, but when I'm doing like the computer and checking them out at the end, like I do all of that. So that does come natural too.
Something that I wanted to ask you about that I saw on Instagram was, I don't know how far back this was, but at some point you shifted your business model to stop offering like a menu of services. Tell me about that, because I love that and even the psychology behind it, but I want to hear what your motivator was to do that.
Because I felt like in the beginning, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with lip filler, but people they were always wanting a half syringe. And it's like, okay, that's great. But then they would come back in like a month and just want another half. And I was like, okay, well, so if we're going to get the full syringe anyway. So then I shifted to like this anatomy-based approach. I'm like, it's really not up to the patient. Like they're paying me as a professional and the expert to tell them how much should go in their lips. So they should trust that I'm going to stop. No means no, stop means stop. Like if I start to see product creeping beyond the border, I'm going to stop. But it's up to me as the provider to really, I don't know how much I'm going to put in your lip. And I can't tell you that at a consultation. Once I'm using that product, I can pretty much, see the result that I like because it is immediate and then go from there. Again, maybe Gen Z or maybe this like younger girl mentality of, we've always been taught to learn in mLs and syringes and units, and the patient has no idea what that means. We know what that means. So I really think it's up to the provider. So going back to that, it's like, I'm not an order taker, right? Like you're not going to McDonald's and ordering fries and a burger. You're not saying I'm getting 25 units because my friend got one or got 25 units. Every single person is unique. Everyone has their own unique features. So I think, again, coming back to medicine, it should be treated as such. I think that I've changed to this anatomy-based approach, and a lip treatment is a lip treatment. So for example, when you go to get your hair done and they put bleach in the bowl, are you looking in the bowl and being like, oh, you didn't use that last drop of bleach? Do you do that? No. Right. So same thing here, like, or if somebody comes to paint your house, I know you pay for like 2 paint cans, but God forbid if they only use a little bit of that second paint can. Are you looking? Or like, does it matter? You're paying for that outcome. You're paying for the result. You're paying for the expertise. You're paying for that advanced training that the provider has. So that's kind of where I shifted that mentality. And it feels good because I'm actually seeing this all over Instagram too, with a lot of other providers. There's actually a provider I look up to in Scottsdale, and he just posted a video about the same thing. He's like, I'm not an order taker. So yeah, it shouldn't be they're picking off a menu. They come to you and trust you for a reason. So it's up to me to guide them through that treatment plan.
I think this is a valuable lesson for literally anyone trying to position themselves more premiumly and to have people choose them for their discernment, not just their deliverables. Like that was a big goal for us at Brandwell going into 2026 when we were vision casting for the year ahead. We're like, what do we want to come across? Like, what are we putting out in the world? And it is really important to us that people are choosing Brandwell for our discernment, not because we offer, so many logos in our brand kits, not because we offer so many pages in our website. Like we're going to give you what we know that your business needs based on the 8 years that we've been in business and the 650 women that have gone before you and what's worked for them, right? So I love that you shifted your model to do so, even more so when you're talking about dealing with someone's face, because and maybe let's talk about this for a second. I know that it's easy for when we do work on our body anywhere, right? The same is true in like spray tans. I had a girl in college that I lived with who was addicted to spray tanning, and she just didn't see herself in the mirror the way everyone else saw her, right? So we know that that happens. So like, how do you handle a scenario like that where maybe a woman comes in, she's got so much lip filler, it's starting to migrate, and she wants another like full syringe? Like, what would you do there if you know that the outcome is not going to be what looks normal or good or something you would recommend?
You have to be aware there is a lot of body dysmorphia, and you have to screen for that, right? That's our job as the provider. So, and even when I prescribe GLP-1s, you 100% have to screen for that. There's just a lot of body dysmorphia and a lot of psychological issues, as there are in the hospital. So it's a tough conversation, but I do just say, as part of the treatment plan, I'd love to just start from fresh. I'm not sure what products they used, and, kind of blame it on that. And then we'll plan to dissolve. If they're very insistent to not dissolve, I'm just kind of like, hey, I just think this is part of my treatment plan. I might not be the provider for you. Our goals just might not be the same. They might not align. Our value, it just might not align. It might not be a good fit. And that's okay. It's a good conversation to have. And I always give them recommendations for another provider or other providers in the area. But the providers in the area that I know would probably have the same treatment plan that I did. So, sometimes it takes that patient to go to multiple different practices. You get a lot of hoppers out there. There's people that just hop from one to the next. And so sometimes they need to hear that 3 times to then be like, okay, yeah, I should be able to trust them.
That's also, I think, a really important lesson, that at some point you have to protect your brand and your reputation. And so when a customer continually wants us to push something that is not going to provide the best results or the best outcome, and you're ethically convicted about that, then being able to politely and respectfully just say, hey, I may not be the right provider for you, or the right website designer, interior designer, whatever it may look like based on your industry, I think is so important, because at the end of the day, these people are walking representations of your brand. This happens to us with website design. If we have a client come and they, start sharing all the things that they want, and we can tell that, they just want to be a copy paste Pinterest brand and just replicate what they see from another person in their industry, that's a really bad reflection of us and our work, right? So it's actually better for us long-term, even though it may mean turning down money and opportunity up front. It protects us long-term for our reputation and the quality that we want to be known for. So I love that you do that.
I know. I read something on Instagram the other day. I think it was a provider, and she wrote, the hardest thing I ever have to do is say no. So, and you'll know a good provider when they do say no. I think I say no maybe once a week, wow. maybe even more frequent than that. But you can't just always be a yeser. And it would be very easy to make $800 off lip filler. That's fine. But you have to do what's right, what's ethically safe. You might run into more issues if you aren't giving them the expectations that they want to. So yeah, always protect the brand too.
There comes a point in business where your offer being really good is expected. That is not a differentiator anymore. If your offer has competition, branding becomes the deciding factor. And branding is all about shaping perception. When somebody lands on your website, their brain is deciding in a matter of seconds whether or not they trust you, whether or not they feel like this is for them, and whether or not they think it's worth the price point. Your brand and website are going to answer those questions long before you ever get the chance to. And at Brandwell Designs, we make sure that your brand is answering those questions correctly and priming your audience for the sale. Through strategic branding and Squarespace website design, we develop brands that showcase just how good you really are. Every detail is intentional. Every decision that we make is strategic. And the result is a brand that positions you as the obvious choice for your ideal clients before the first conversation even happens. If your current brand or website is no longer matching the level that you're operating at today, go to brandwelldesigns.com and set up a free discovery call. Okay, this is a good segue actually, because I wanted to talk about branding. When I first met you, Lisa, which If I remember the call that I had with you, it was the day before I went into labor.
Oh my gosh. Baby. Oh my gosh. Yes.
And
then you are so dedicated. I think you were even messaging back the minute after you pushed her out. Like I think you were.
Well, it was like a very sudden thing. Like I went into labor at 37 weeks. So I thought I had another week or two left in me. And I had 3 sales calls that day. It was you and 2 other people. They all moved forward, which was great. But it was so funny because like I got the call from my doctor. I had to be medically induced for a condition that I had. And they were like, hey, yeah, you need to come in today. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to message all these people. Like, this is not a closing strategy, but I won't be available for the next couple of weeks.
Maybe it was though, because they just saw how dedicated you were and how passionate you are. And it could have worked in your favor.
Maybe it did. Well, when I first met you, you already had a very highly desirable service and, business model. Like people wanted what you had to offer and they specifically wanted it from you, Lisa. So I want to ask you, was building a brand like something that you were intentionally focused on, or was that just traction from like being the best at your craft?
When I started, like I said, I left the where I was working at a plastic surgeon's and I was like, okay, what's my LLC going to be? Okay, LC Aesthetics. It's just my initials. Great. And there was no real intention behind it. I'm a millennial who watched Laguna Beach growing up. I was always team LC. So I just loved it. And I had a great logo. People love the logo. But as I was, talking to you and talking to Jessica, I was like doing this build out. I'm like, should I be rebranding? And it was a tough decision. And, but as you evolve and as you grow, I think it's something that was necessary. And both you and Jessica had the same answer. And it was, if any time is the time, it's now. Like you're going into a new spot, you're going to have new signage, you're going to have new visibility. You're hiring, you're growing. So rebranding was a clear-cut answer. And not everybody's going to understand it. Like I still get patients that are like, oh, you changed your name. And not that it's in a negative light, but they just are kind of like, well, why? And I'm like, well, it's not really about me. Like I never wanted the practice to be about me. And sometimes I feel like when you have your name on the door, yes, it feels good, but it's really about the community we serve. It's about the patients first and foremost. I really roll out the red carpet for the patients. And then it's about the team I'm hiring. Like, I don't want them to just feel like they're shadowed behind me. I want them to feel like they have a say. I want them to feel like any provider is competent when you come to Unveil. Like when you come to Unveil, if I'm on vacation, you're going to see you're going to see the other injector and you're going to get the same exact result. You're going to get the same exact experience and the same luxury and the same elevation. So that's where I think, and you know this, and Lauren Stinner, we really wanted something that was more elevated, more luxe, more just kind of showing, what we can offer to the community. Yeah. So.
We were building more for the future of the brand, yes. Where I think what you had when you came to us was signaling early stage, which is not where you were at. You had an established practice, right?
Yeah.
You weren't the cheapest available. And so having a brand and website that conveyed that, that perception of you when somebody, whether it be somebody wanting to work for you or somebody wanting to hire you for your services, like that was really important. That's what we were designing for. So you mentioned Jessica. Let's talk about that. So Jessica Marks is who initially connected the two of us. She was my business mentor at the time, was yours. She was the first person to encourage you to rebrand the business from a visual sense, like the new logo, the new website. And as founders, we all have blind spots simply just because we are so close to what we're building. We're just doing the next right thing. What was it like for you hearing that perspective from somebody that you trusted? Like, did you agree with her when she first shared that with you?
No. And, and she knows this too. I was totally scared and it was a risk. Because, Jessica is from San Diego and very different market than Wilmington, Delaware, and probably different market from Virginia too. Yeah. So initially I was like, oh, are you sure? Because this is a small community and I think everybody knows each other here. Everyone knows you from high school. I was born and raised here. So I actually was really, really lucky when I opened because I didn't have to fish for patients. I think it was worrisome because I was like, oh, I mean, everybody knows me as Lisa Campbell. Like, they're going to be like, what's this Unveil? You know, so it was hard, but I realized she's the professional, just like we talked about. Like, you know, when my patients come in, I want them to look at me as the professional. So Jessica's the professional. She's been doing this for a long time. She's a Forbes business advisor. She knows best. So I was like, I'm just going to trust her. And really, like, I don't think she's steered either of us wrong. She's been a godsend. So just had to lean into it and just trust the process. And I think we both know it was the right decision. So
what surprised you about going through this process of, you did everything, renaming, rebranding, and building out a new website?
It's an investment, right? Like, it's an investment, but for good reason. It's gonna come back to you, and I trust that it's all gonna be worth it. And that's kind of why I chose you guys too. I know that you're not the cheapest, but I'm trying to attract a certain patient or a certain clientele, and so I really wanted to work with the best.
I appreciate you saying that. So yeah, now that you're on the other side of this experiment, how do you think that outside perspective shaped the next chapter of Unveil? Like, going from, LC Aesthetics before Brandwell, working with Jessica, working with Brandwell, coming out now on the other side as Unveil Medical Aesthetics, having the look that now supports what you already had, the online representation of the actual business. Like, how do you think that has shaped this next chapter and this next season for you?
Oh gosh, once the build out's done, I think it's just going to all come together. I'm working with a really good design team too. So they've already seen your work, and they kind of understand the assignment as far as like what we're going to make this space feel like. And I did worry at first because the design team was not really leaning into the branding colors. And I was like, oh, should we be doing that more? And they were like, no, trust us. And again, same thing. They're the experts. I don't know about design, so I'm trusting them. But I think it's all coming together really nicely. I'm excited. We just ordered the sign for out front. So once that comes up, it's going to feel really real. It's funny. I was just sending Jessica an email today because I had been thinking about like our mission and our core values for a while, just especially as I'm hiring and growing, so I can kind of relay that message to the team and just really start with what I want the culture of the practice to look like. I'll read them off to you because I don't have them memorized quite yet, but Unveil, so as we're spelling it, so the U is unwavering clinical excellence. So we're upholding the highest standards in our specialty of medicine and just delivering those exceptional outcomes. And then N is the noble ethics. So we maintain a non-judgmental framework that recognizes human diversity, and it's just a valuable dimension of the collective experience. And then the V is visionary leadership. We lead at the forefront of aesthetic medicine, shaping refined evidence-based innovation beyond trends or titles. And then E is education-centric. So you will never find me not educating myself. Even if I am 45 years old and an injector, I'm still going to seek out education. And then the I is integrity without compromise. We lead with integrity, ethics, accountability, honoring our responsibility to our community of patients, peers, and the profession. And then the L is a legacy of trust. So we lead by example, we influence with purpose, and we build enduring relationships through consistency and accountability. So I just love
and I love that you
yeah.
wove it in with your brand name. That'll be so much easier for your team to memorize too.
Yeah.
And if your team doesn't have buy-in, nobody has buy-in. So I think that was a really smart way to do that. Okay, Lisa, let's give the people what they really want as we wrap up here. I opened up a Q&A on Instagram last week, and I asked my audience for their burning questions about medical aesthetics, and we want your opinion on some of these things, okay? I'm going to expose myself here. I have never stepped foot in a med spa, okay? It's probably going to happen soon.
Come north when you do.
I know. Lauren did DM me in the manager's chat a couple weeks ago and was like, I'm thinking about our Brandwell retreat in Delaware this year so we can go get free Botox. I'm like, okay, somebody's going to be paying for that Botox, girl.
No, you guys have to come to my grand opening whenever that will be, but that would be so fun. And I can host you guys. Yeah.
Okay, that would be fun. Well, yeah. For somebody like me, I'm 33. Okay. Let's say my aesthetic goals are to have like natural, younger looking skin so you don't have to wear as much makeup. What should my first treatment be?
Medical grade skincare, number one. Because
what does that look like?
That looks like you're not getting it off Korean Beauty or Medicube, anything like that. Now, does that work for people? Sure, it works. But I'm going to tell you, medical grade skincare is evidence-based. It has more research behind it. There's more active ingredient. And what is really, really important, I tell patients this all the time, 80% is what you're doing at home, 20% is what we do in the chair. So that 80% is your homework, and that's going to be your medical grade skincare. And I'm not asking you to do this 8-step routine. Like Epicurious has a really nice, solid 3-step routine, but you're only going to protect your investment. So if your skin is not primed and prepped, your injectable is not going to look as good as it could. So I really want your skin just in its tip-top shape. And then we go in with the laser and light. We go in with the injectable. We go in with microneedling. We go in with Sculptra. Like that's when we revisit those. So I always at every consult ask people like, what are you on? And sometimes they'll say, oh, I got the Ordinary from Sephora, or I got this. And I'm like, I'm really not pushy. I know. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm not pushy, and I'm not, again, I don't like to sell things because I'm a medical practitioner first and foremost. But when you're finished with that, I want you to come back and I want you to try this. And sometimes I'll give them a sample to go home with, and then they come back and they're like, okay, I'm sold. So I let the product do the talking, but that's where I would start for you for sure.
Okay. What's your take on face taping?
Like mouth taping or face taping?
Face taping for like contouring.
Okay. No.
No, it's a ditch it?
No, ditch it. And those like silicone patches, no, ditch it.
Okay.
But I like mouth taping, and I think mouth taping in its first and foremost priority is to help with like, sleep apnea and all of that, but it has a double bonus that it's going to help with your jawline just a little bit. So.
Interesting. I never heard that. Okay. Red light therapy, do it or ditch it? Like at home.
Do it. Okay. I like it. I like it a lot.
Back alley Botox. What do we need to know about this?
No, back alley Botox. So there are you can buy, especially we're seeing it a lot in the UK, but any lay person off the street can just buy Botox. And there's all these videos, if you look at TikTok, they're injecting, friends are injecting each other without any medical trained experience, without any licensure, nothing. So this is a big no-no, and stay away from it.
Okay. This one's wild. Salmon sperm facials. Is this crazy, or is this going to be the new cold plunge?
So it's funny. I actually have toyed around with salmon sperm. It is essentially like a huge multivitamin for your skin. My only gripe with it is that there is a little bit of a lack of research, but was it the dewiest, glassiest skin I've ever seen in people? 100%.
Okay.
So I think it might be here to stay, but more to come, I guess.
Okay. And then last question from Instagram. What are some of the best makeup brands for women in their 30s and 40s? So our skin is not quite as young as it used to be, but we're not grannies yet. So we don't need the full on wrinkle creams.
So Color Science is actually SPF makeup. So I always say do not skip SPF, especially even if it's cloudy out, if it's overcast, if it's snowing, you can still get windburn. There apparently some of the lights have carcinogens in them. So always wear your SPF. So I liked that this makeup brand specifically is just SPF focused. Another makeup brand that I really like is Merit, MERIT. They have this 5-minute makeup routine. I get it every Black Friday because it's the only time they go on sale. But it's for us we're very busy women, we're business women, it's just a quick out the door type of thing. That's where I'm at. I'm interested in trying out Rhode, Hailey Bieber, not for skincare, but just makeup. And because I'm seeing a lot of people talk about that.
Okay, why not for skincare? Spill the tea.
It's not medical grade unless, I could be wrong, but I haven't researched it too much. I'm not going to pretend to know. But I just think that influencers, right? Yeah. You have to be careful of influencers and what they're selling, because it might not just be for your benefit. It might just be because they're getting paid,
Yeah. Lisa, what do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to medical aesthetics?
The biggest misconception is that it is just anything that anybody can do. Anyone can pick up a syringe and inject Botox. That is such a myth. I get a message probably every week from a burned out nurse at the hospital saying like, hey, can I shadow you? Can I really want to get into this. And it's like, well, do you know why you want to get into it? Like, is it just because you want to leave the hospital? Because I've been there. I've been there once. People think that Botox is the easiest thing to inject. I think it's the hardest because number one, it takes 2 weeks to kick in and you don't see that person. So for most of my first timers, I have them come back in 2 weeks. We see how we did. It's kind of like a get to know your anatomy visit. But if I haven't seen like a patient in 6 months, I'm like, wait a second, they're supposed to be coming back every 3 months. Why haven't I seen them? So I think it's hard. Botox is a tricky one. Everybody's anatomy is different. Everyone's, sometimes you're upping the dose, sometimes you're decreasing the dose. You just have to, it's a delicate balance with Botox, whereas filler is immediate. So I think the biggest misconception is people thinking that this field is the easy way out. I think there's a lot of studying. Like I truly took myself back to medical school almost. I mean, I think you saw my post. I spent almost $50,000 in trainings last year alone, and I'm 4 years in. So, and a little bit of that could be some imposter syndrome, but a little bit is also like, I just have this hunger, like this not that I need to know everything and I need to train with the best.
I mean, hot take, imposter syndrome makes you better. Like it's going to, either you're going to shut it down and burn it down, or you're going to get hungry and learn and pour into yourself. And then it starts to go away as you gain confidence. So I think there's definitely a good side of it. Okay. As we close here, what, if anything, has been like a piece of advice that has grounded you when opening this business or when things have felt hard or you're just up against a lot of resistance? Anything come to mind?
I think it's never too late to follow your dreams. It's never, you can start a business at 40. You can have a baby at 40. We have science now. Yeah. Like you can do whatever you set your mind to. So you really just have to just know that.
Yeah, it's so true. Honestly, like working with Jessica has been so life-giving to me too, because she's connected me with so many other women that are actually a little bit older than me. And for quite a while, my whole team is younger than me by like 6 to 10 years. And a lot of the clients that we used to serve were a little bit younger than me, which is natural, right? They see you, you're aspirational to them. And so they want to work with you, but then that can make you feel like you've already peaked. And surrounding myself with women that are ahead of me, even in age, in seasons of life and all of that, has actually been so freeing mentally, because when I hit a hard month in business, or when the revenue is not exactly where I want it to be, or I feel like I should be a little ahead by now, I remember that like, okay, I'm still in my early 30s. Like I feel like a lot of the women that I admire and respect and look at the businesses they've built, most of them are actually in their 40s now. And I'm like, I have so much time, right? So it's all perspective. And I think that was, helpful advice, that sometimes you just have to like zoom out and change your perspective, and it changes everything about your reality.
Yeah. And eliminate the people that like, you can just tell, try to hold you back. Like, or eliminate the people that are not like singing your triumphs. Like just eliminate that toxicity and you will soar. You will run.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks for tuning in to the Branding Business School podcast. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, subscribe to the podcast, and we'll continue to cheer you on week after week by giving you practical advice on how to build your brand. For show notes or to learn more about what we covered in today's episode, head to thebrandingbusinessschool.com/podcast. And remember, you don't need an MBA to be the CEO.